Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going In Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going In Raw. We also offer the Steven Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steven Larson or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson to sign up. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Steven Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. It's a big week ahead of us. Of course, this is the big weekend of wrestling coming up. We've got All In, we've got Evolution, we've got Saturday night's main event, including Goldberg's last match, and NXT's Great American Bash. I'm sure there's probably others, like some indie shows or some shit also.
Supercard of Honor.
Oh, yeah, Supercard, yeah.
Friday, I think. Does TNA have a show this weekend?
Wouldn't shock me if they did, but maybe Slammiversary is our next one because that's coming up at some point pretty soon.
Yeah.
In any event, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Smackdown from this past Friday. Hopefully, all the friendos out there kept all of these, Larson. All their fingers are still intact. I haven't heard word if anybody out in my neck of the woods lost any fingers, but
hopefully
sometimes that news is a little bit slow to come in. I'll
Yeah.
keep you guys updated on that, of course. But with it being such a big weekend of wrestling, and of course, the big predictions challenge, click join right here, youtube.com/Steven Larson, or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson if you want to join us in the predictions challenge. More on that later. With the big weekend of wrestling coming up, WWE running 3 shows this weekend in total.
Yeah.
I saw an interesting little conversation with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez over the Wrestling Observer. And I thought it was a cool conversation to bring up, or an interesting conversation to bring up, because as we've seen in the past, WWE likes to load up their schedule, coincidentally, I'm sure it's all coincidental, against AEW pay-per-views. Of course, All In is AEW's biggest show of the year. A lot of people out there, including you and I, think that the big title change might go down this weekend. And WWE is finding out that throwing a bunch of shows together on a weekend, back-to-back, same market, doesn't really guarantee them a lot of sales in terms of tickets, Larson.
No, it's the second time they've done this. Of course, over Double or Nothing weekend, WWE had their residency in the Tampa area. I think it was Smackdown, Saturday night's main event. There was an NXT show, and they had to move the venue for the NXT show, I believe.
They did, yeah.
Out of the arena there. And so this weekend, of course, we got All In Texas happening on Saturday. Noon start time Pacific here, 2 p.m. local start time. And so to program against that, WWE has Great American Bash starting at 11:30 here at Pacific, 2:30 in Atlanta, where it's being held. And then at, I would guess, it says here 4:30, but maybe it's 5, is what the broadcast time would start.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Saturday night's main event, including Goldberg's last match. And Dave went over the ticket sales. Of course, the following day, on Sunday, is Evolution. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave went through all the ticket sales, all the ticket numbers. None of them have sold out yet. He anticipates that Saturday night's main event will.
Goldberg's last match is going to sell out.
They got a week left to promote it.
Yeah.
They are, about 2,000 or so tickets short of a sellout.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, entirely possible they could sell out State Farm Arena by then. Right now, I assume these numbers you have here from WrestleTix, right?
So it's all from WrestleTix on Twitter, and I believe the All In and Great American Bash numbers are from, I want to say the 5th of July, so it's not updated for the weekend.
Gotcha. Well,
and then
from Saturday then, yeah.
Saturday night's main event and Evolution, I believe, are updated by the 4th. So,
okay.
It's been a couple days since these have been updated.
Okay. All right. So right now, Great American Bash is at Center Stage Theater in Atlanta, home of WCW Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, there's a little bit less, as of Saturday, a little bit less than 600 tickets distributed, 593 set up for 772, so there's 180 tickets available. Entirely possible those get picked up in the next week.
It's a really tiny venue.
It is.
And there's only been, if I'm not mistaken, there's only been 3 matches, at least according to Wikipedia. I can't really remember what happened on NXT this past week, but I think they're probably going to do a tag match, and maybe they'll do that triple threat with that you talked about with Stax, Luca, and Tony D, but that might be too soon. I don't know.
Well, then you got to assume Ricky Saints versus
that's probably going to go down there too. But right now they only have 3 matches, and they're pretty underwhelming in terms of like these are all matches that are just NXT TV matches.
Yeah.
This is not a takeover level situation.
It's clear they're running this show against All In, knowing probably this show is not going to be highly attended or highly viewed because All In is happening. They're just kind of putting this show out there to try to siphon off some measure of AEW's audience. Or we've talked about this a lot, where WWE will flood the market over a particular weekend and thinking, all right, we're going to put so much wrestling on this weekend that it kind of drowns out everything else. And if they take a hit in the process, they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Not a huge deal for them. Mm-hmm. All their other shows basically sell out, so they can take a hit in some respects on ticket sales, knowing full well. But I guess the conversation to be had here is, does that approach actually work as it relates to taking momentum, attention, customers away from AEW over these weekends? Or is it in the end counterproductive because not only are their shows not selling well, it doesn't do any damage to AEW over the course of that weekend?
Yeah, I mean I think that's sort of like the thing is, will they? The question is, are they going to look at this situation, this approach, and what's going to be their takeaway? Because obviously this is more about crowding out AEW in terms of like the general buzz. Obviously trying to take pay-per-view sales away from AEW.
Yeah.
And at the same time, though, at what cost are they comfortable with when you have an NXT Great American Bash that right now on paper looks thoroughly forgettable?
Yeah.
You've got Obafemi defending his title against Inamura. You've got Jordan Grayson, Blake Monroe. Blake Monroe is making her NXT in-ring debut with Jordan Grayson, a tag match against Fatal Influences, JC Jane and Fallon Henley. And then you got Sol Ruca versus Izzy Dame for the NXT North American Championship. Now, if you add Ricky Saints and Ethan Page on there's some star power. People like those guys. That's a takeover level. That's a NXT premium live event level show, a match. And then I don't know what else. If you do the Tony D match, if you do like a Hank and Tank tag match against like the Culling or something.
Culling, yeah.
I mean, that's an NXT TV match. You know?
I mean, you could make, if the card for Great American Bash was for an episode of NXT TV, be like, oh, this is a loaded episode.
It would make sense. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. But for a premium live event, not the most compelling 2.5 hours of wrestling programming.
And the fact that it's at center stage, so you have to ask yourself, what is necessarily the point here? Like, you're going to get wiped out. You're going to get and so you have like NXT, which does wonderfully in the ratings. Like, their viewership is up and they're doing a good job building that brand. They've done a good job building that brand as kind of a brand that people will go to even through all the call-ups and whatnot. They want to know what's going on the brand, on the actual show, not necessarily, I'm going to see my favorite wrestlers because sometimes, they'll just be gone all of a sudden. Like Stephanie Vacura all of a sudden was gone, and, Julia was gone. Roxanne Perez was gone. And so you got to ask yourself, if you're really trying your damnedest to build up that brand, it's kind of different. Like, if they had some special event at the same time that you knew had a chance at drawing buzz away from AEW. For example, the Worlds Collide thing that they did a couple weeks ago. That was a show for a variety of reasons that had a ton of buzz. Number one, it's like, oh, wow, obviously it's a super show card.
Yeah.
And you've got these matches which are going to be a certain level of quality. And I'm sure these matches at Great American Bash are going to be fine, but it's not like you're getting a Vikingo versus Chad Gable match. And so it's like, oh, man, that show actually has some buzz. You could do some damage with a show like that. They're throwing their limpest lineup directly against All In. Now, I don't think you can say the same thing necessarily about Saturday night's main event, because regardless of all the joking that, we'll toss out there, Goldberg's last match is a significant event. It'll sell out, but it's also going on after All In.
Yeah. It's not going head-to-head, no.
Right. And so you look at this poor NXT show, and then on top of that, the next day, because you've already saturated the market, Evolution, the first time since 2018, I think is only done, what's the ticket on that? It's
like 4,800? 4,800.
4,800.
And it's set up for over 6,000. What,
6,600 in the same venue as Saturday night's main event, which is set up for about almost 13,000. So
let me read what Dave has to say in the daily update with regards to Evolution. He says this will end up as probably the lowest paid for WWE pay-per-view since the 2019 Stomping Grounds show in Tacoma.
Wow.
He says, I'm confident it would have been an easy sellout last week at the Mohegan Sun Casino as originally planned. It's supposed to be in Connecticut, I think this past weekend. That was the first rumor. It's bad in the sense that it took years for WWE to do a show like this after the first one had somewhat weak advance, although it ended up fine. It did low levels of viewership. It wasn't the lowest pay-per-view number, but was lower than most. Now, this not selling tickets may lead them to believe the concept doesn't work. For years, they didn't do it based on the idea that they believe that concept didn't work. But with a larger overall star power for women, they did try again. Again, the decision to flood the market this coming weekend very much hurt WWE on the guise of hurting AEW. I guess we'll know if all these shows do cut into AEW's buy rate, which was the goal of doing all these shows this coming weekend.
Is this going to be an excuse? I mean, that's sort of another question. Is this going to be an excuse for them not to do another Evolution after this? You've had a really lame short-term build.
Yeah.
You put it up again, you put it up on an oversaturated weekend.
Yeah.
It completely underperforms against what it could do on its own weekend with a proper build.
Yep.
Are we going to see a third Evolution show?
It might take another 7 years.
Yeah.
So I looked on Google Trends to see, what's being searched. AEW All In, Saturday night's main event, WWE Evolution, and then Goldberg WWE. The most recent, most popular thing searched is actually WWE Evolution.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Over the course of this past weekend, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That beats out All In.
There was a big match announced, Tiffany versus Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
So I kind of wonder if
it spiked. It spiked on the 4th.
That might have spiked, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I've got
on the 5th. Sorry, it spiked on the 5th.
I got no skin in this game. I don't give a damn what WWE does. It's just an interesting question if we're going to see something like this again, or if they will ever take a look at this and be like, hey, you know what? Let's just put on an NXT television, show basically at center stage because we know it's not going to sell very well, but we can sell 800 tickets, and they probably will by the time all is said and done. They're only 180 away. You'd think they would. So let's, we'll just go ahead and put this up against an AEW pay-per-view just to be like, hey, we're here too, and we're going to get some of the buzz. These wrestlers are going to do their damnedest to put on really good matches.
Yeah.
And so no harm, no foul. We've got the roster. We've got the ammunition. So let's go ahead and use it. Or are they going to start backing off and being like, well, we're more interested in making sure that our brands are getting the spotlight that they deserve?
I mean, I guess let's assume after what we saw in Tampa on Memorial Day weekend, and let's assume the ticket sales we see hold steady. Or, I mean, NXT will probably sell out, fill 800 seats. Saturday night's main event will probably sell out. Let's say Evolution, by the time Sunday rolls around, sells 6,000 tickets. So not quite a sellout, but within 500 or 600 of a sellout. Will they look at that as a success, regardless of what AEW's all numbers are for All In Texas?
Well, let me ask you this. Let me counter your question with a question.
Sure.
If All In gets tremendous buzz, does
Yeah.
killer numbers,
The
everybody's talking
chances
about
are
it.
there for the buzz coming out of the show to be pretty significant. I won't say massive because AEW hasn't generated massive buzz in a long time.
It's a loaded ass show, though.
It is with a lot of implications for storylines going forward and some interesting directions they can take coming out of this. Yeah.
There's also the possibility, regardless of what weekend it's on, that Goldberg's last match is going to be a debacle because it's Goldberg.
Yeah.
But if AEW completely overshadows everything, will that cause a WWE some pause in terms of their approach, or are we going to see, what's their next show is their next lineup is Forbidden Door,
AEW's,
early August, so that's only like
late
3
August,
weeks
like
away.
August 20.
Oh, is it late August? Oh, late August?
I think it's August 24th. Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to see another one of these WWE weekends?
I don't think so because they've already announced. Well, they've already announced the next two shows after this weekend. It's SummerSlam early August, and then it's Clash in Paris Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
So that's already been announced, booked. I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd be kind of surprised if they were like, all right, we're going to book 3 shows over the course of Forbidden Door weekend to counter Forbidden Door. Now, I guess the question is, let's say we get the returns back for all the WWE shows, and they're kind of like, we didn't really do much in terms of AEW's numbers. Our numbers not that great. Are they ever going to say, because obviously throwing an NXT show against an AEW show is not necessarily WWE putting forth a main roster show.
Yeah.
To counter program AEW. Will they ever go to that extent? Will they ever say, all right, you got All In today, we're going to reschedule Money in the Bank for that weekend?
I mean, I think Saturday night, I don't know what came first, Saturday night's main event or All In, because I know All In moved back, I think, to avoid Saturday nights.
They announced, I believe All In announced the start time. WWE probably till later in the day, typically when pay-per-view starts 4 or 5. WWE announced Saturday night's main event, and so AEW rescheduled All In for earlier in the day.
Yeah. I don't know. Are we ever going to see AEW's best versus WWE's best? I mean, that's the real question right there. If you have a bunch of B-level shit that you can throw their way, I guess I think they probably will continue to do this. I don't know if it would be the next time we'd see it might be Full Gear or Wrestle Dream or something like that. But like certainly on their the bigger shows or even All Out, I guess, which is probably September. Isn't that still Labor Day weekend?
Yeah. No, they pushed it so it's later in September.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll see it there. I think they'll probably do it, time and time again. I don't know if they would necessarily do it for every AEW show there is.
No.
But yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see when the next time they do one of these things where they just load up a whole weekend that AEW is running.
So right now, this is what WWE has on the schedule going for the rest of the year that's been announced. So we got SummerSlam August 2nd and 3rd, Clash in Paris on August 31st, Crown Jewel in Perth October 11th, and then Survivor Series in San Diego November 29th. And I don't know exactly. Let me see if that conflicts with anything AEW has announced. I don't think so.
Yeah. And then they can always just decide to do shows. WrestleVotes will be like, oh, there's a rumor they're going to bring back In Your House.
So, for example, Forbidden Door is August 24th. They're not going to run something against that. However, All Out, September 20th in Toronto, it's possible they could aim to do something that weekend because there's nothing announced as of now for September.
Yeah. There you go, keeping it open. I could see that.
Yep.
Anyways, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Is WWE hurting themselves? Are they helping themselves? Is it a big net neutral? Or, whatever. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. We've got a sponsor for the show today, Larson, so we're going to go ahead and talk about them now.
We are. This episode of Steve and Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Steve, we're pretty fortunate that we don't have to go into an office anymore for work. I can remember times in my life when I wake up in the morning and just absolutely dread going to work It's a terrible feeling.
Boy, I remember those days. That was like a long time ago, though. In any event, workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the workforce dealing with higher than normal levels of stress. While taking a vacation can be a nice reprieve from the stresses of the workplace, it's not a long-term solution. Therapy can help you navigate whatever challenges the workday or any day can bring.
So back in my mid-20s, I was dealing with some pretty severe anxiety and got so bad that it actually held me back from doing much of anything, including going to work. Eventually, I realized that I had to go to therapy. And therapy allowed me to learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety and help me move forward with my life.
With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. BetterHelp is also making therapy far more convenient. You can join a session with a therapist with a click of a button, so you could fit therapy into your busy schedule, and you can switch therapists at any time.
As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. So unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
Regardless of whether or not WWE is running all these shows and it's going to work and they're going to do it again or they're not going to do it again, I got one great bit of news here. WWE Smackdown's back to 2 hours, man. Woo! Light off some fireworks for that one, Larson. Just don't lose your fingers.
Yeah. You know, it's back to 2 hours. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm very
happy
about
hooray.
it. This Friday night. This Friday night, are we going to do a SmackDown review?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's do Friday night. We'll do SmackDown review because it's only 2 hours. We'll be done by 8 o'clock, and then we could do what, Larson?
Get our load on. I don't really do that anymore. I didn't do that on the 4th.
I'll be honest. It's funny. I always say that. I went to the bar for the first time in literal months on Thursday because it was like, oh man, it's been kind of, for Lacey, it was kind of a long day. So let's go. I had 1 1/4 beer.
Yeah. If I have more than 2 beers, I'm exhausted.
Dude, the next day 2 beers these days. If I don't have like some liquid IV or something, which I always do now. After I drink, but like I drink so rarely now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So getting your load on basically for me at this point just means, hey, let's watch The Expanse, Lace, you know? In any event, SmackDown did happen. We had a big match set for Evolution.
Yep.
With Tiffany Stratton choosing Trish Stratus as her opponent. Kind of an underwhelming segment, to be honest with you. Like, this was just, she was like, hey, guess what? This is my opponent. Because Jade comes out, and Tiffany's like, hey, Jade, how's it going? Jade's like, listen, SummerSlam, I don't care who it is. So, you know.
Who's your opponent for Evolution?
Yeah, whatever.
And Tiffany's like, happy you asked, it's Trish Stratus.
And then Trish comes out and says, wow, I didn't expect this to happen. I'm like, okay, wait a second. In the universe, why were you there? In the story, why were you there if you didn't expect this to happen?
Well, maybe it's a situation, not like she was just happened to be in the building and Tiffany says, you're going to be my opponent. I think maybe in the broader sense, like she didn't expect to be chosen by Tiffany to be her opponent.
Oh, I know, but she seemed like in the moment, she was like, oh, wow, I can't believe I was chosen. You know,
I just happened to be in Pittsburgh in the building for SmackDown, nowhere, not reasonably close to my home in Toronto.
Yeah. I remember there was an episode of TNA, and dude, honestly, I think I was looking up Lex Luger once. I was just sort of like Googling Lex Luger.
Yeah.
And he had like kind of one appearance in TNA.
Yeah.
It might have been more, but one of them was, I think they were deciding, or they were like, they were revealing like a mystery opponent for Sting, I think is what it was. And they had like a bunch of people show up. It's like, oh, it's going to be one of these people.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them was Lex Luger, who at that point looked like he was in no shape to wrestle. You know, he wasn't the total package anymore of old. You know, it was before he was, you know, he had that horrible thing with the paralysis happen. But yeah, I wonder if it was similar. Like a bunch of people, you know, they brought in a bunch of people and then Tiffany would just, you know, I choose you.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being Trish Stratus. I don't know how this
No,
works.
I think in a broader sense, she was like, oh, I didn't expect to be the one. Because you think for her to be there, phone calls would have to be made, travel arranged for her to be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. It seemed very like this should have been like Jade should have come out and said, hey, you know what? At SummerSlam, I got your number, but I got some bad news because Nick Aldis told me who your opponent's going to be for Evolution. And then Tiffany gets surprised and Jade gets the drop on her. Like that was some sort of surprise element there. Instead, it was like
pretty anticlimactic.
Hey, guess what? This is my opponent.
Yeah,
Hi, everybody. I'm so surprised to be here.
Yeah.
They teleported me off my couch directly to SmackDown.
We had another return on SmackDown. Drew McIntyre's back. And he wants that WWE Championship.
I think he's got a good chance of getting this thing, man.
Yeah, how long have we been saying that, though? Look, we love Drew. He does great work. He's fantastic. But it's been, I don't know, ever since Clash of the Castle in the first one, where he lost, where Solo debuted, you're like, oh, he's going to get this title. He's getting this title any second now.
After what?
He did have it for like 5 minutes, I guess. So
after his CM Punk feud was done with, I was like, oh, 2025 is going to be the year of Drew. Yeah, it's going to be the year of Drew taking a vacation for like endless months. One thing to remember about this SmackDown, too, it was a long taping. They had already taped Raw, and then they taped SmackDown. So I was like, God damn, why is this crowd dead? Like, Trish shows up, and nobody said, no, like, the crowd is just crickets. And then Drew's out there, and he's talking a lot. And I'm like, why is this crowd dead? And it's because they've been there for like 8 hours already. They've been there for like the longest time.
Yeah, it's a long day.
You know, they filmed
really
NXT, LFG, Raw, dark matches, and then SmackDown. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm going to do all that.
Yeah, they do all that. You're right.
You know, but yeah, Drew McIntyre, he showed up. We'll just go ahead and dive into it because Cody shows up first. He makes his way to the ring. He gets on the mic. He says, so Pittsburgh. He says, before I talk about this, and he's got the crown, he says, I want to point out this fan right here. His name is Cam. He's battling leukemia. Let's hear it for Cam. And I gave a little applause for Cam because leukemia, I've had several friends in the past pass from leukemia. It's a horrible, horrible thing. Mm-hmm. He says, he's like, oh, you guys are wild tonight, huh? And they're like, yeah, we're wild. And he says, what is this?
Crowd was like us after we have a couple beers, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, we're wild, Cody. Oh, God. Hope I can get out of I got a parking okay. It says, I left a piece of myself in Columbus to hold this. I left a piece in Saudi Arabia wrestling my mentor just to hold this. It stands for where we've been and where we're going. Past kings like Booker T, Bret Hart, Stone Cold, and Triple H. He says it stands for where we're going. The main event of SummerSlam, myself, King of the Ring, Cody Rhodes against undisputed WWE champion John Cena. That brings out the Viper, Randy Orton. He talks a bunch, too. He says, I had you dead to rights. I was going to rearrange your skull, brother, but I hesitated. You didn't hesitate to ram my lat nerve into that top turnbuckle. And that exposed turnbuckle. He says, you pulled the trigger, and I respect you. There's one thing I want to ask. No, promise me this. Don't squander this opportunity. Go to SummerSlam and kick John Cena's ass.
Oh, he's so hitting Cena with the belt. It's totally happening.
No hint of like Randy and Cody being heels or on the wrong page or anything like that.
Nope. This whole thing with Cody now is just setting up for him. When next time he has that belt in his hand, he's going to hit Cena with it.
It seems like that's probably going to be the big story beat there because he couldn't do it at WrestleMania.
Yep.
That brings out Drew McIntyre. Larson.
Yep. He gets pop, says,
he starts mimiking like their boyfriend, girlfriend, saying, you hang up. No, you hang up.
Oh, shut up. That's what you sound like, and it's pathetic. That's right. When did this beta male energy take over WWE? Thank God the alpha has returned. Where to start, Randy? You know why you lost. You hesitated on the punt, but lost the psychological battle long before that. Cody's been buttering you up, saying how much he respects you like a good politician. A hug and then a knife in the back. Speaking of your back, when you tweaked it during the match, somebody attacked it like a shark who smelled blood. He was relentless. When you had the chance to punt him, you couldn't do it. What happened to you? You were the Viper, the legend killer. A few years ago, you were putting Hall of Famers in the head, and I had to save them from the monster you were. The legend of Randall Keith Orton is dead. And you, Super Cody, I want you to win. I want Cody to be the next WWE champion. It's the match I want. It's 20 years in the making. Parallel careers, different destinations. I want you to win so I can rip it out of your hands. I won't hesitate, unlike somebody. And then Randy hits him with an RKO.
So later on, Drew McIntyre's bugging what's his face, all this about Randy Orton, and he's all just like, Orton's already left the building, buddy.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is going to be the feud for Drew McIntyre, is why Randy ain't turning heel anytime soon.
And he booked him in the match at a Saturday Night's Main Event.
Oh, is that the Randy Drew match?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You got to think, okay, well, they're going to do this again at SummerSlam, right?
I suppose.
I mean, that makes sense.
We've seen this feud, like, before, though.
When's the last time they had this feud? It was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Well, it was when Drew was champion. They feuded for quite a while. They had the ambulance match. They had a
Oh, that was during pandemic?
cage match. Yeah.
They had was that Hell in a Cell?
I don't remember if it was Hell in a Cell or a cage match. Maybe it was Hell in a Cell.
I think it might have been Hell in a Cell.
I remember the ambulance match more than anything.
Yeah, I remember that too. Let's see. Did they do Hell in a Cell? Let's see. At Hell in a Cell 2020, they had a match. Was it actually in Hell in a Cell? Yeah, it looks. Yeah, this was Hell in a Cell. They had the red cage.
Right. That's right.
They had the red cell. So yeah, come on. It's been 5 years. Different roles now. Yeah, Drew was a good guy back then.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Babyface champion.
So yeah, this will probably go to. They'll do like it's Saturday night's main event. Like, what is it going to be, like a 7-minute match?
Well, max 10.
Yeah, max 10. They'll have a longer match at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Randy will probably win the first one. Drew will get mad. He'll beat up Randy. They'll go to SummerSlam, and then Drew will win that one.
Yeah, that's entirely possible.
That's my guess on that.
We talked a bit about Tiffany versus Trish being booked for Evolution. So Tiffany comes out and says, Io got to choose her partner, and I get the same opportunity before she can make the announcement. Jade comes to the ring, and she says, Tiffany, I see you out here looking like a champ and beating Nia, respect, but you are barely standing as I was crowning myself queen of the ring against one of the best. Now tonight you have a choice. And if you choose wrong, you won't be champ at SummerSlam, but it doesn't really matter. I'm coming out with that title. And Tiffany says, well, I'm glad you're here. I have a surprise for everybody, and that's when Trish Stratus comes to the ring.
Let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
You are Tiffany Stratton. You've got Jade Cargill ahead of you.
Uh-huh.
You are offered the entire roster, including still active legends.
Yeah.
Who are you choosing?
Wow. I'll say this. Trish is actually a solid choice because she's a legend who's proven, including in their tag match they had together, she could still go. She's a Hall of Famer. You beat a Hall of Famer. As we know in wrestling, the older you get, the more powerful you become. You beat a Hall of Famer, you add that to your resume, it's pretty huge in terms of adding legacy to your title reign.
Strategically, this doesn't make any amount of sense. Don't you go after, be like, hey, is Mae Young still, a possibility?
I understand all that.
How about be like, hey, listen, how about this? Up-and-coming B-Fab.
You say, who was runner-up for LFG?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Be like, hey, I saw this prospect, Laney something or another, in NXT. Let's give her the spotlight, and then one lariat, one prettiest moonsault ever, and an easy day at the office right there.
Yeah.
Be like, I just beat the future of the company.
But you gotta look through everything through the prism of being a pro wrestling babyface. And as a pro wrestling babyface, you never take the easy way out.
Yes, that's what you got to do always. That's how you succeed in life. Corners, shortcuts, cutting corners.
No confronting adversity, challenging yourself. Nah.
No. I don't want to fight the best. I want to fight the rest.
There you go. All right. Well,
send me you're old. Send me you're tired.
All right. How about you? If someone on the main roster, you have to wrestle someone on the main roster.
All right. Can I be a dude this time?
What?
Baby Fate. Well, I had you in the role of Tiffany
No,
Stratton.
but that's that because we're talking about this particular match. No, you have to give an answer
still
as Tiffany?
Tiffany
as well. Yes,
I'm still Tiffany. Oh,
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. The problem with LFG is that, like, I saw, like, in some of the ads or whatever, like a little clip, some of these people has been like, you know, they almost dumping each other on their heads because they're so green in the ring.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay away from those kids.
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
Someone from main roster has to be main roster.
main roster. You know, somebody. Well, Candace was the speed champion.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to mess with any champions.
Any champions or former
No champions are on the board. I'm going to go with anybody on main roster. Let's see here. Who is, and now Roxanne's pretty good. Raquel, they're champions right now. Liv is out. I don't mess with her. She's a former champion. Stay away from her. No, I'm going to go with Alba Fire
All right.
of the Secret Hervis.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
I'll be like, yeah. She's really good, though.
She is really good.
That's the thing. Everybody's really good.
Yeah. Everybody is really good.
Maybe with Chelsea. I'd go with Chelsea.
Okay.
She's recently recovered. She had like some sort of health scare. She had like a nasty sinus infection that ended up like she lost her hearing or something like that.
Oh, that's awful.
I know. For that to happen to such a lovely person, you know, that kind of stuff should be reserved for scumbags. Oh man, you remember when? Or you're not going to remember this, but when me and Lacey were first dating.
No, I remember this because you talk about it all the time.
Yeah, dude, I had a sinus infection so bad because we kept on hanging out and going like getting our load on. We kept on drinking and stuff.
You went to a medical professional to get looked at.
That's awful for a sinus infection.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
So like I was a little bit sick, and then it developed into a sinus infection. And then I was in the urgent care, and she texted me. She was like, "Hey, you know, I'm getting a vibe off you that you're not into me anymore because we haven't hung out for a couple days." And I was like, you have partied me out too much.
It's like my entire head is just one big ball of phlegm.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your brain is just encased in this, you know, sack of phlegm.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I sent a picture. But then when I took the picture, like I didn't get any service. So I went in to see the guy and it hadn't sent. I almost got dumped because I had to go get that checked out. Then I came back out and I, you know, made sure it sent.
Yeah.
I called her. I was like, I don't know. Why are you going to break up with me?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you're just sick. Okay. I'm like, yeah, I have proof.
Yeah.
Scumbag. And then we got married. Anyways, so yeah, Trish comes out and Tiffany says, Trish, we've teamed up together and I thought, what would Evolution be without some Stratisfaction? So I want to offer you a chance to meet me at Evolution for the championship. And Jade says, Jade's thinking to herself, why am I even out here? It was very third wheel awkward shit here. She was like, choose Trish. Doesn't matter if it's you or a legend. And Trish is like, oh, I didn't expect this. Thank you, Tiff. Evolution holds a special place in my heart. We used to have to fight for one match on a card, and now we have an entire card of incredibly talented women to be thrown up against All In. She says, I always said careers are made of moments, and Tiff, you gave me one allowing me to wrestle in front of my kids. She says, but you know what? They've never seen me be a champion. It does have a nice ring, 8-time champion. And Tiffany's like, let me make one thing clear. This isn't easy. It's not the Attitude Era anymore. It's Tiffy time. And then Trish is like, that's fine. I want that fight. Tiffany says, well, either it's you at Evolution or you at SummerSlam. The WWE runs on Tiffy time. I fucking hate that phrase, by the way. I honestly do. It's so... Anyways, later on, Trish is backstage. She jumps into Jade. Or she runs into Jade.
Yeah.
And Jade says, yeah, if you win, you're going to be seeing me. And Trish says, well, I guess I'll see you at SummerSlam. And then out of nowhere, Naomi attacks Jade with her awesome number one.
Looks great.
Number one on the list of custom Money in the Bank
looks
briefcases.
great, yeah.
They killed it with this thing.
They did.
And then you look at poor Seth with his crap one.
Oh, I know.
So yeah, Naomi attacks Jade with the briefcase and says, you should have proceeded with caution.
And then laughs.
Laughs and runs away. I wish she got on the little motorized suitcase thing.
Oh, that thing was great. Yeah,
that thing is great.
So then Aldis runs up, and Jade's like, "I want a match against Naomi," and Aldis is like, "You got it."
So that's going to be a Saturday night's main event. Jade wins that. Naomi cashes in at SummerSlam. Man,
Probably.
that shit's happening.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of happening, Charlotte and Alexa are basically seemingly officially a tag team. So earlier in the day, we see Charlotte talking to Nick Aldis. She's like, I think Tiffany's going to pick me for Evolution. And Aldis says, I got a different opportunity for you. A tag team number one contenders match. Your team versus the Secret Hervis versus Michin and B-Fab. Winner gets the tag title shot at Evolution. Charlotte's like, what? Alexa Bliss walks up and says, you're welcome. Charlotte says, how many times do I have to? But Alexa interrupts and says, I know, Charlotte, we're not friends. I don't want to be your friend, but we should be tag partners. Charlotte says, I don't like to share the spotlight. Alexa retorts, well, you haven't been in the spotlight for a long time. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to get it back. And then Charlotte's like, oh, you got me, Alexa. So Aldis says, maybe sometimes you don't know what's best for you. Let me do my job. Besides, you think Tiffany is picking you?
Oof.
And Alexa says, you don't want Eddie Gold at all? Charlotte says, fine. Just don't get in my way. So that match happens. Next, Secret Hervis versus Michin and B-Fab versus Charlotte and Alexa. And not surprisingly, Charlotte and Alexa get the win here.
Yeah. No, it was a good finish too. So Alba Fire hits a Canadian Destroyer on somebody, I don't know who. Michin hits a Rock Bottom on Fire, Black Hole Slam by Piper. She grabs Alba Fire to drag her to the corner. They go for a double team. Alexa Bliss cuts Fire off. Charlotte hits a spear on Piper. So Fire and Piper are down both beside each other. Charlotte goes up top, and she pats Alexa on the head as sort of condescendingly, well, very condescendingly. Danilo, the ref, sees that and goes, tag, right? Charlotte doesn't realize that. So Charlotte hits a moonsault. She goes over and boots Chelsea Green off the apron, and she starts posing. Alexa Bliss, in the meantime, hits Twisted Bliss, gets the cover. Charlotte turns around, sees Alexa winning the match.
Whoa.
She's pissed for a second, but then you can tell Charlotte's just having fun with this. Crowd goes crazy for this shit, too. What a really good idea is everybody loves Alexa, and everybody wants to see them get together, and so everybody starts cheering Charlotte Flair because she's in this thing with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
You get to show up Charlotte's natural personality, and it really fucking works because she's naturally a charming person. It's just when she gets into the I'm Charlotte Flair business, people don't really connect with it.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me ask this real quick before we move on.
Uh-huh.
What do you think of their odds at SummerSlam? Isn't it a SummerSlam? That's the match, right?
No, it's Evolution.
Sorry, Evolution. Jeez.
It's the Four Corners tag match. We got a team from Raw, from SmackDown, and from NXT, right?
That's right, yeah. Well, do you like their odds at Evolution, or do you think they're going to get this close and they'll push that until maybe SummerSlam?
I guess it depends on if they are having Roxanne and Raquel team together simply to have this match and get the titles on some other team until Liv comes back. In which case, you would think that maybe Charlotte and Alexa would maybe be the favorites. I mean, I don't know, who else is in the match yet. But there still feels like there's plenty to explore in terms of the story with Roxanne and Raquel as tag champions.
And I think there's more to the story with Charlotte and Alexa to explore as tag contenders.
Yeah.
If they find that, hey, we work really good as a team and we didn't lose the match, we just didn't win it, then, there's more to mine in terms of them getting their chemistry up. Yeah. And then eventually maybe getting these, Triple H, he might take another 2 years of them being a tag team.
Entirely possible.
Titles. Yeah.
Entirely possible.
Plus, he really loves Judgment Day. I feel like they're going to have the tag titles, not for a super long time, but certainly until SummerSlam.
Yeah. So the show opened and closed with Jacob, Solo, that's Saga, Bad Bloodline 2.0. So it kicks off with Solo arriving at the venue in an SUV. As soon as he gets out, Jacob attacks him. He lays out JC and Tonga Low as well. Officials come out to break it up. So Jacob's walking backstage, and Aldis says, you can't be smashing cars and attacking Solo, but find a partner tonight, and you can have the two of them. And Jimmy walks up to him. Hey, Oos, looks like you need a tag partner. Jacob says, ready to get in where you fit in? And Jimmy says, yeet. And then that's when Jacob says, you know what I mean.
Okay, here's the thing.
And the whole time he was beating up Solo, he's yelling, no, all gas, no brakes.
He's got to find more words in the vocabulary to say, because when Jimmy says yeet, Yeah, you can construe that as a yes, right?
Yeah.
Even when Jacob says, "Are you ready to get in where you fit in?" You can construe that as, "Are you ready to do this?" Right?
An invitation, yes.
Right. But then Jacob follows the yes with, "You know what I mean?" Well, yeah, he knows what. That doesn't make any sense. That one doesn't make any sense.
It depends on how it's said. If it's like, you know what I mean.
I feel like he's got to say some actual words and not just. Here's the thing: we've seen him on the mic. He's so good when he's just
great.
Once you turn your, and I get it, the catchphrase sells shirts, but like I don't even think he's got a shirt that says "Yeah, I mean."
He's got one that says "All gas, no brakes," though.
Yeah, then he usually wears the Slow Wolfpack shirt though.
Yeah.
Does that one say? I don't know.
I don't believe so.
Anyways, yeah, he's got to. You got to be. I want menacing Jacob. We need menacing Jacob. Dangerous Jacob. Not catchphrase guy.
Maybe what he needs to do actually is have like 15 catchphrases.
I'd be fine with that.
And then you can just kind of mix and match the catchphrases over the course of the promo.
Yeah.
So Solo has a response. He says, "Happy birthday, America, from your new U.S. champion. I hope you got your fireworks ready because we're going to celebrate. Welcome our newest member, Tala Tonga. What you're looking at is nothing like the Bloodline. This group is way stronger and more dangerous than ever. If Jacob wants to get involved, me and JC will handle it. These are my MFTs, my family tree. Now my family is complete."
Remember back when we didn't know what MFT stood for?
Now we know.
Now we know. Because they never really confirmed it back then, right?
No, they never said what it meant. No.
They never said what MFT meant.
No, not at all.
We were like, does it mean something like, a fungible token of some sort? My fungible token?
Apparently not. It's my family tree.
My family tree. I think we had speculated that was a possibility, that it was my family tree. Because they were big into the family tree back then.
I mean, they had the whole presentation with
the whole thing.
Vegas event ahead of WrestleMania, yeah.
So the main event was Solo Sikoa and JC Mateo versus Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso. The winner here, of course, is Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso, who I'm assuming Mateo ate the pin, right?
No, it was Solo.
Was it Solo?
It was Solo.
Fatu hit a dive on Solo. Fatu misses a splash. Solo hits a super kick of his own. He goes for the spike. Fatu ducks it, hits the Impaler DDT, and then a moonsault. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Look at that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Then afterwards, Bad Bloodline 2.0 beat the hell out of Jacob. Jimmy tries to fight him off. Tonga Loa gets involved. Tala Tonga hits a boot on Jimmy. Jimmy also hits a Tour of the Islands from JC. And then Tonga Loa hits him with the twisting neck breaker onto the floor. And then they all get Solo, do a shield triple team powerbomb through the announce table and stand over him as the show goes off the air.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
He seemed to want to separate himself from the usage of the term bloodline. It seems like this crew is going to be called the MFTs.
Could be.
Is that a bad move? Or should this be like the Judgment Day where it's just like a continuous thing that is always around?
No, use the bloodline name. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same thing too. I think they should be using the bloodline, but it doesn't seem like they're going to.
Doesn't seem like it, no.
Yeah, that's a bummer. You got to keep on using that bloodline. And then eventually like Solo will be out and it'll be like,
Tonga Loa will be leading it. Yeah.
Ideally, yeah. Yeah.
Julia had a video package talk about winning the U.S. title. She says, I understand what this title means. One by one, opponents will come to me. One by one, they will fall. I didn't get this by luck. I got this with my own power. Blue flames don't flicker. They burn everything down. I'll take this title where no one is dared to go. No mercy, no doubt, no fear. With fire, with fury, my way. So whoever is next, step closer. You're about to feel the heat of beautiful madness.
Isn't blue flame? Isn't that like the hottest flame? The blue.
I think it's second hottest, isn't it?
Is white flame the hottest?
I think so.
Oh. Because aren't like blue stars like super hot but really small?
Oh wait, yeah,
like that?
it is blue.
It's blue, right?
Yeah, or even light blue or white.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Red and orange flames are commonly associated. This is all the Google AI stuff. So
grain
of salt.
Yeah.
Red and orange flames are associated with fire, but represent lower temperatures due to incomplete combustion.
Not that impressive. The yellow sun. If we had a blue sun, oh my God, we wouldn't even be here. Earth would be just a disgusting rock.
Yeah.
Anyways, Truth. Ron Killings versus Aleister Black's happening next week, and here's what happened. Priest is backstage, as he usually is.
Milling about like he usually is.
Aleister Black walks in. Priest says, I want to talk about Truth. Black says, that's done. Priest says, I don't think you are. I found out you guys are having a match. Like was he going around reading the whiteboard? Hey, I got my hands on next week's program.
He's storming backstage because he didn't see his name on the whiteboard.
He said, but you got a match. And then Black says, I'd say you're selling your friend out, but you're supposed to be the good guy, right? Violence begets violence, Priest. And Priest says, who told you I'm the good guy? While we're at it, who told you Truth is going to be the victim of violence? Priest and Black just says,
yeah.
Goodbye, Priest. He's
yeah.
like, Black.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are probably traveling together.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Are we going to go to the Waffle House? Are we going to get big bacon? Who told you I want big bacon?
I'm trying to remember the Waffle House menu. What the combo
I think it's
options
large bacon. Maybe it's large bacon, not
Yeah,
big
I think
bacon.
it is. I didn't get bacon when I went there.
You should have stole a menu. God damn. That'll look great on the set back there.
Yeah, I guess so, but I didn't want to do that. But you can buy
You
one.
try
on
to
the
put
website.
it under your shirt.
I know. I look like Bret Hart with that metal plate.
Oh, I don't know how this got here. Sorry.
This got here. Just waiting for somebody to spear me. To send
Sorry.
them off with the Waffle House.
You
menu.
never know what could happen at the Waffle House.
So then we get a replay of Andrade and Phoenix tagging last week. More on them in a bit, but Aldis has the tag division there. Says, for the rest of you, you all want a piece of the Wyatts, so you're going to get them. One member of each team is going to face the Wyatts tonight, an 8-man tag. The rest of you watch backstage. Says, the Wyatts are here to stay, and if they win, they're back in the mix for the titles. That match happens, and of course, the Wyatts win. Because John doesn't want any of the Wyatt Six smoke.
No. God.
So Chris Sabin's looking to tag him in, and Gargano's like,
Well, he sees Redbeard. That Redbeard's revving his engine. He's ready to go. And he's like double the size of these little dudes.
yeah.
And so he's like, you're on your own, Motor City Machine Gun.
Yep.
And then Sabin eats like a big splash from Redbeard. And then that
And the
big
Iron Claw chokeslam deal. Yeah.
looks great. You know, in my heart, you know, for Redbeard. You know, this guy comes back after, you know, everything he'd been through. Then he has to go away for a while because one dude is injured. Then he's back and he gets the pin here. I love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that song is still terrific. I still think it's kind of a waste of the Wyatts to be in the tag division. But, you know, whatever.
So elsewhere in the tag division, we get Fraxium versus Andrade and Ray Phoenix. This match was killer. It was so good.
Boy, oh boy. These guys, Andrade and Phoenix, man, oh man. What a tag team they make.
And they got the win.
Yeah.
They hit I guess it was on Frazier eating the message. Yeah, Andrade hits the back elbow. Phoenix hits Axiom with the kick where he runs on the ropes, follows with the tope on Axiom, so Andrade could hit Frazier with the message to get the W. Really fun match. Mm-hmm. Really fun. Mm-hmm. And that was 2 hours of SmackDown.
Yeah. 2 hour SmackDowns are back. So good stuff there. Yeah, that was a hell of a match. It was really long too.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We'll answer some questions.
Yeah, let's answer some questions. I got a couple here. I like this one immediately from Remster. Says, if you were getting beat down in the ring by a faction, what current WWE superstar would you want making the save? I mean, I'd want Jacob Fatu because we're 916.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a beast. So I'd want, you know, it's, thanks, Jacob. Yeah, what I mean? And and I'm like,
well, Jacob, I'm all gas and no brakes with it too.
Yeah, I'm with it. And he's like, you get in where you fit in. And I'm like, I don't know what that one means.
All gas, no brakes.
And he's like, don't be using my catchphrase, blood. And
Sure thing, Jacob.
I'd be like, Larson, he called me blood.
I'd be like, I know what you mean.
I
want Amos to come and do the save for us. Get the returning superstar. He'll lay everybody out.
I have never seen that dude run in his life. If you're going to make the save, you need somebody who's going to run.
No, the music hits and they realize it's Amos. Like, oh shit, Amos is coming to the ring. And everybody just freezes.
No Jeff Hardy. No Penta. They do the posing. Yeah, exactly. Or like all that shit.
Yeah.
I'm getting my ass handed to me right now. You know what I mean?
All gas,
With
doing
it.
some of this. All gas, no brakes when it comes to making the
That's
save.
what I need. All gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Braun Strowman because it's like a Moss, but he runs.
Yeah, but he's not with WWE anymore.
Yeah, but he could be a returning superstar.
Sure. Luis here asked, do you think it'd be better for Collision to move to Thursday since when they did, the ratings improved? Yeah. Saturday night? No show wants to beat then.
Man, everybody's getting their load on Saturday nights. Nobody's getting their load. Well, actually, no. Thursday I did go get my load on, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, Thursday's a much better spot.
Yeah, Thursday's a better spot.
You know, throw them up against that WWE TNA developmental show.
Greg Morris says, what do you think is a better performance from Michael Madsen? Mr. Blonde.
He passed away.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
Mr. Blonde, Bud, and Kill Bill, or Joe in The Hateful Eight?
I feel so. I didn't watch all the Hateful Eight.
I haven't seen it.
I watched like the first half hour, I think, and I was like, I don't know. I'm going to give it another shot because a lot of people say it was really good. I honestly feel like nothing beats Mr. Blonde. Like it was such an iconic role for him that I feel like everything after that is sort of like just sort of Mr. Blonde light, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say Mr. Blonde. Mr. Blonde.
I don't disagree with that.
Boy, he was dangerous in that movie.
Yeah.
Dave Matuszek with some shade here says, considering that All In is outperforming all WWE shows this week in terms of combined ticket sales, do you think that WWE's counter-programming strategy is starting to backfire? We already talked about that. It depends on what their goals are. You know, I mean, you can't say that Goldberg's last match being a sellout is underperforming. It's a sellout in the venue that they're at.
Yeah.
So, you know, could they do Georgia Dome 60,000 like they did when he won against Hogan? Probably not.
B-Man with a great question here. Which match in AEW's history would have had the most impact if it ended in a screw job like in Montreal? What if Hangman versus Punk ended in a screw job finish where Hangman wins?
Like, wow. Oof, like a shoot screw job? I don't know if AEW would be around anymore.
Yeah, no.
Because that'd look horrible to the company.
Yeah, it would.
AJ Otani says, is Evolution potentially underperforming going to be TKO's excuse to not have the show again for a while? You know, dude, I don't know. Here's the thing about that. If you're Triple H and Nick Khan, you understand the situation. It was a short build. Like what? No, any show, a short build like that, you toss them in on an oversaturated weekend. Mm-hmm. Like that's not I don't know.
It's not a recipe for.
I don't think you could turn around and be like, oh, see, look what that did. They should make it an annual event.
They should.
Let's see here.
Gold Ducat says, lately Collision has started getting really good. Do you think the ratings will ever pick up? It's got to move to a different night.
If they move it to Thursday, it will.
Yep.
But it doesn't, dude. They can make it as important as Dynamite on Saturdays, and I think if they did that, the ratings will inch up. But I don't think it's going to do much better than inch up. Yeah. Blake Whitehouse says, so yeah, check this out, dude. Slammiversary now has, this is interesting, title for title. TNA Knockouts, Masha Slamovich versus the winner of the NXT Women's title match at Evolution. Does that change your thoughts about JC Jane versus Jordan Grace? Because it does for me. I think Jordan's definitely going to win.
I mean, her and Masha have a ton of history, so I would understand that. No, I still feel like JC's going to win. I feel like Blake's going to be the one to beat JC for that title.
And then what? JC's going to hold both TNA and... I mean, given that she keeps on talking about being like the most beatable champion, I could see it. I could definitely see it. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm going to go with Jordan for Evolution.
Chris Stanton here says, what do you think will or should main event Evolution and All In? Hangman versus Mox is and should be the main event for all.
Oh my
without
God,
doubt.
yeah.
It's not even close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Mercedes versus Tony Storm is like the only other match in the conversation.
If Hangman's going to lose, then that should main event.
Yes, agreed.
But, no.
The trajectory of the story leading to Hangman win, the finish of All In should be Hangman holding that AEW championship, fireworks, streamers, all that.
Oh, yeah. That's
the moment they've spent almost a year building up to.
It's their Roman moment, yeah.
Yeah.
It's their Cody moment, whatever.
As far as Evolution, it's going to be Rhea and Io. That'll main event.
Yeah, and it should. Let's see. Callum Kelly says, which wrestler had the most underrated merch? The Bobby Roode shirt where there's like 5 different fonts and it's just nothing but like a giant.
In Impact, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Underrated merch. Does it specify which promotion or just any wrestler?
Anything.
There was a stretch where Swerve had a few decent shirts.
Yeah. Most AEW merch, like a lot of it anyways, is like decent.
Yeah.
Nothing's overwhelming.
In WWE, I don't know.
What about WCW?
I think Hangman has a few good shirts too.
AJ Otani asks about Drew McIntyre. How'd you feel about the t-shirt kilt combo? Drew McIntyre can pull off anything.
Oh, heck yeah. What'd you think of that shirt? Bored at work?
No good.
Phone with his logo
Awful.
in it?
Terrible. God, that's horrible.
Yeah, I know.
I think there's a way you could do that idea, bored at work. Just you put the tweet on a shirt.
Yeah, I know.
That's better.
Or even just bored at work. Nothing else on there. The phone with his logo on it, no.
No, I don't like that. I don't even like just bored at work. Like, you probably get that on like Redbubble or something. You know,
Yeah.
like somebody probably already sells that.
Absolutely. Timor asks, which match booked for this weekend do you think will be an unexpected contender for match of the weekend?
Unexpected contender. I think the Inamura Obafemi match has potential
It'll be really,
to be good.
Yeah, I think it'll be really, really good.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Cole for the TNT title.
Oh, that's going to be a banger. That's going to be a good one, yeah. Yeah, you see the what do you make of the Christian and Nick Cage? What's his name?
Nick Wayne.
Christian and his son Nick Cage.
At some point, if this team stays together, Christian's got to say...
I didn't even say Nick Gage. I said Nick Cage.
I know. Christian's got to say, I want you to take my last name, son.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be pretty funny.
Because there's a K in it, and the actor doesn't have a K in his.
Wait, what? In Christian's?
No, in Nick Cage, the actor, it's N-I-C.
Yeah.
Isn't
Nick
it?
Wayne.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I thought you meant in Cage.
Father.
No. Yeah.
We got to go rescue the Constitution of the United States. The Bill of Rights, whatever the fuck it is they did.
I don't know. Cruz asks, if you were a wrestler, would you get your entrance theme as your ringtone?
Wait, go back.
What?
Nick Wayne and Christian Cage being added to the tag match. What do you think of that?
I just kind of chalked it up to Tony trying to get as many people on the card as possible.
Who's eating that pin? And when are they going to debut the father-son titles?
Maybe after Christian and Nick lose that match. Then he's like, we don't need those titles anyways. I have these. Father-son titles.
Father-son titles. All right.
I don't know. Probably as a member of Jet Speed is eating that pin.
I think Kevin Knight's going to eat that pin.
Yeah, probably.
Art Guy says, was there any wrestling merch you had to buy as soon as you saw it? Man, I saw that Naomi Money in the Bank briefcase, and I got really interested.
Well, it's that CM Punk title that you got.
Oh, god damn.
The second you saw it, you had to get it.
This thing is beautiful. It is gorgeous.
Cruz here says, if you were a wrestler, would you get your entrance theme as your ringtone? I'd say what? No, I'd do this. All my wrestler friends, I'd get their entrance themes as their ringtones.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, so I know who's calling.
Exactly. Don't have to look at it.
But these days, it's like, half the Def Rebel themes, I'm like, who is this?
Yeah, no.
Oh, it's Finn. Yeah.
You just really have to pay attention to whatever is said at the beginning of the theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because most of them are preceded by some quote.
All rise. Oh, it's Damien.
Priest.
That's good.
Well, I mean, he sings his theme too.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah. Say, hey, Damien, can you do a custom version of your theme where you're just berating me for not answering your call?
Yeah. Can somebody use the Find My iPhone to find your iPhone? Do the sound thing. That's what Bam always comes in and says, can you do the sound thing for my phone? No, I got to get on Find My iPhone. All right, listen for it. She says, Dad, find my phone for me. Because my child is Damian Priest. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with our Raw review. 2.5 hour Raw.
Yeah.
So they need to get that down to 2.
Ideally.
Yeah. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.